Hello everyone, and welcome to Retro Brick Reviews, where today we will be taking a look at the last of the 7 LEGO J.K. Rowling Wizarding World sets I have yet to cover for the main retail lineup of them. And this set is the LEGO Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. It's number 75952, Newt's Case of Magical Creatures. The set comes with 694 pieces, 4 minifigures, an assortment of beasts, and it retails for about $50 in the United States. Now that is a very good price-to-part ratio, but do we get $50 worth of stuff in this set? The short answer is yes. For the long answer, well, we might as well begin with that, starting out with the very first minifigure of the set, which is none other than Newton Artemis Fido Scamander. Starting off here, we have Newt, the main protagonist of the Fantastic Beasts. Eventually a pentology, unless it gets cancelled at some point, although I doubt that'll happen. Anyway, so this is Newt, and this is a very good figure of Newt. In fact, while I would say that the collectible minifigure version of Newt is definitely the best, both in terms of detail and accuracy, this one might very well be my favorite interpretation of him by LEGO. Starting off, he gets 3 accessories, only 2 of which you can see at the moment, of course. He gets his dark orange wand, and that's not a very common piece, since you only get it with him in this set and the minifigure series. So, I mean, it does come in a $4 blind bag, but I mean, you only have a 1 in 20 chance of getting him in the series, so not a very common piece at the moment for that color of wand. And his other accessory is, Picket the Bowtruckle, also known as a bright green stock piece, carrot top. Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't mind the use of the carrot top piece. Like, thinking about it rationally, Picket is really thin, so it would have made, so this makes more sense than them doing, like, the Baby Groot piece, but it should have been in lime green. Like, even if they can't print on it, it should have been lime green. That would have at least made it look, you know, different, not just a normal carrot top. Anyway, Newt's last accessory is the Niffler, which is the same one that comes in the minifigure series with him, and it's adorable. It's a double-molded piece with black and the nougat color. Or, well, I don't exactly know what color of nougat. The color that's a bit more pinkish than Newt's hair. And you have printing for the eyes. Yeah, just a really cute boy. You have a tail at the back. Cutesy little paws. I love this Niffler. But taking that away, as well as Newt's other accessories, we can take a look at the figure, and, yeah, we've been through this a couple times, but let's just do it one more time for the history books. The hairpiece is bad. This hairpiece doesn't work. Now, if you have it, hairpiece that works a lot better is Shaggy's hair from the LEGO Scooby-Doo sets. Now, personally, I don't think it works as well with this face. I think this hairpiece works better with the minifig series Newt and the Dimensions Newt. I mean, it still works all right here, but the face wasn't really designed to work with it, so I guess we should at some point expect a face print that doesn't work too well with this hairpiece. And honestly, I feel so of the 3 Newts, this might be my favorite, just because this one looks more natural with the spiky hair. I don't really know why. I feel as though the face print here was just more designed to go with it, with the not really accurate lack of bangs covering his face. I don't know, but I do like the face. It looks a lot like Eddie Redmayne, which is good. I like the smile, the little lines next to the eyes. It's a very good face. The alternate face, though, is even better. In fact, it's my favorite of the 5 face prints LEGO is currently supplied for Newt. It's a good worried face, which, you know, really works in my opinion. And I mean, again, very similar philosophy to the main face and the minifig series face, but I just think this expression works really well for Newt. And for those who are curious, this is what this face looks like with this hairpiece, which I actually kind of dig this look. Like, this might be my favorite of all of the Newt looks with different faces and hairpieces. I think this is the top for me. I really like how this is looking right now. This is quality right here. And anyway, just leaving it on this face because I like it more. Newt's torso is very nice. While the other 2 Newt figures have had him in his blue trench coat, this figure just has him with his vest, which looks very good. You have what looks to be a little, maybe just a little magical contraption on the torso, although although I think that's supposed to be a pocket watch, just coming out of the pocket, although it could be anything. I mean, the vest is a nice color. You have the white and dark brown shirt underneath. White sleeves, dark brown pants. No printing on those, but that's fine. The back printing is very good. It shows that the back of the vest is brown, and you just have some details there. Not a very super detailed back print, but it works pretty well. And I think that's just something good to say about the whole figure. It's not overly detailed. It's not some amazingly done thing, but it has all it needs to, and it looks really good for it. So that is this set's version of Newt, as I get really annoyed that the wand decided to go in higher above where it's supposed to be held. Not a big fan of how that usually happens when you just haphazardly snap the wand into the hand. But yeah, that's Newt. Great figure. Now let's move on to the next figure in the set. Our next figure is Porpentina Goldstein, better known as Tina, and she looks really good again. Now, I wouldn't call this the best Tina, that goes to the minifigure series version, but this is a close second for the character. Starting off with the accessories, she gets the brown wand, which is pretty common. In fact, I think it comes in every set except... Well, no, it doesn't come in Quidditch or Grindelwald's Escape, but still, you get it in 5 of the 7 sets in brown, and you get it in, like, half of the minifigure series in brown. So brown is the most common wand color, if I'm correct, in the new line. But it's pretty good, works for Tina. Her other accessory is a teapot, which is molded in white, which is good. And on top you get this separate piece for the lid, which of course works, since obviously it just goes on top. And since you have the little mini peg up top, you could sort of pose Tina holding the lid in one hand and the teapot in the other, like she's about to close it. Now, of course, there's nothing in the set to represent a roach, and there's no way you can fit the set's alchemy into the teapot, but I think it's still a cool thing to include. Glad to get it to at least kind of recreate the scene. Going on to the figure, starting with the hairpiece, it is the Age of Ultron Black Widow hairpiece in dark brown, which I believe is currently an exclusive color for this piece, and it works pretty well. I mean, it's not perfect, but it is definitely the best piece LEGO has in its inventory for this. I know some might argue and say that no, the best one is the Kira hairpiece from the $30 Han Solo Landspeeder set, the hairpiece a lot of people want LEGO to use for Yule Ball Ron for some reason. Although, to be fair, I could actually see them using it for him, now that I think of it. It wouldn't be perfect, but I could see them using it just because so many people think it would look good. Anyway, but I think this hairpiece works better for Tina. And this is my first time getting this hairpiece, so it's my first time realizing that this hairpiece is awesome. I mean, it's so poofy around the sides. I mean, like, I've never picked this up, but, like, just look at it from the top. Look at how much extra hair there is. Look at it from the bottom. Look at how much poof there is. This is such a good poofy hairpiece. I love it. And it works. Now, unlike the other figures in basically every LEGO Harry Potter Wizarding World 2018 set, this figure's face is not a new design. It is the same Tina face that we got in the LEGO Dimensions set, that also got used in, like, the Women of NASA set for Sally Ride for no reasons. But I think this face works really well for the actress who portrayed her. I want to say, like, Catherine Watterson. Yeah, it sounds about right. Anyway, so... yeah, good face print. This main face is just fantastic. It is by far the best face print we've gotten for Tina thus far of the 4 we have. And just as a side note, I'd imagine that the reason that Tina got an alternate face in the minifig series, while none of the other Fantastic Beasts leads did, is because, of course, in this set they made a reprint, so they had the extra budget to give Tina a double-sided face. Or at least that's my prediction. There might have been another reason. It probably has nothing to do for that. The series in this lineup had completely different budgets, probably. But that's just what I think it is. That's how I've thought of it. Anyway, Tina's alternate face is, of course, also from the Dimensions pack, and it doesn't look as good, but it still works alright. That's obviously a rather stern and annoyed face. I like it. Definitely going to keep on the main face, though. That's my favorite. Much like Newt, she has shed her trench coat, so no leg printing, which I think is fine. And the coat is good. Kind of wish that we gotten, like, maybe the bottom of the coat printed, because it is kind of odd how it just stops. I feel as though maybe they should have just, like, printed a bit at the bottom of the torso to just show, like, the coat like, cutting off. I mean, I get that it would have gone down to the bottom of the torso, but it just seems a bit abrupt how it just stops. But I do like the design of the shirt underneath, as well as the locket that has absolutely no relevance to my knowledge, but for some reason, it was literally her toy tag in Dimensions. But I digress. Anyway, back torso is very simple, very similar to the other two Tina's back torsos, but again, just on a different color, this time, of course, dark gray. And yeah, that is LEGO's most recent, or well, one of the two most recent, since this and the minifig series came out simultaneously. Anyway, LEGO Tina Goldstein, if I can just get her accessories into her hands, because I always like to do that before I wrap the segment. Yeah, this is a good figure. I wouldn't say it's as good as Newt, but this is a very well-done design for Tina, and I think it works quite well, and if this is your only LEGO Tina, then I don't think that's a bad thing at all. Next up here, we have Mr. Jacob Kowalski, and much like how all of the characters in this set have sort of their alternate costumes, while the minifigure series has their main costumes for the first movie, Jacob follows suit, as he is here depicted in his protective gear for when he and Newt are trying to catch the Erumpent. Anyway, starting off, Jacob gets two accessories, one of which we'll look at a bit later, but the one we can see right now is just a black umbrella, which was introduced for the Penguin in the LEGO Batman movie, but it's since appeared a number of times. I think the best use of it was in pink for the new Hagrid figure, of course, but this works just fine. I don't remember any times where Jacob specifically had an umbrella in the movie, but it works well. You can grip it at the handle, or at this middle bit. He can also grip it here. Yeah, cool beans. Anyway, Jacob uses the same hairpiece he has in the minifigure series, which is the Dog Show Judge hairpiece in dark brown, which I think is a perfectly good piece for him. It works well. Has the right amount of style in it. Yeah, good choice. Jacob's face print here, I think, looks really good. I feel as though the minifigure series face print worked really well, but it looked a bit, more minifigure series-y and a bit less normal. I don't know how to put it. It looked like it was produced in a Chinese factory, and I don't know if there's any way I can put it better than that. If you own the figure and you've seen the face, you kind of know what I mean. It looks a bit different. This figure, though, I think looks pretty good. Jacob has a bit of an annoyed frown face, and it just looks a lot like Dan Fogler. And this is where we bring in his alternate accessory, because he also gets a brown helmet to go with the protective gear on the torso. This doesn't go too well with this face. I mean, it does work, but I don't think it's fantastic. But the thing the helmet is really here for is if we turn around Jacob's face, he gets this scared expression where he also gets a chin strap. And, of course, that is to go with the helmet. Yeah, that works really well. This face was clearly designed with the framing of the helmet in mind, a bit more than the other one. Yeah, I like the scared expression. I like the chin strap. Of course, the issue with this is, of course, that this face does not work at all with his hairpiece, and for that reason, I kind of wish that maybe they'd excluded the chin strap on Jacob on this face, just, because that does kind of limit the usability of this face. And it's also interesting because, of course, in the most recent LEGO X-Wing, LEGO created the helmets that no longer need the printed visors on the heads. They have molded visors, although LEGO immediately retired that because everyone hated the design of those. But anyway, and those didn't have chin straps printed for the helmet, so that was just a weird thing that I kind of wish LEGO had kept on to this figure, because I don't think you really needed the chin strap. I mean, again, it looks good with the helmet, but you need the helmet for this face. I'm talking way too long, you all know what I mean, so let's continue on. The torso is good. I like the design of the protective chest plate. It's very similar, but it looks good, and you have the design of the tie and his shirt underneath and the suit. It's good. No leg printing, but he doesn't need it at all. Back printing is the same idea as the front, but it's pretty funny, because if you look at the bottom, you can actually see a bit of back detailing for the creases of the suit. And that's funny because in the collectible minifigure series, if I just bring it over, Jacob has no back printing in the series, and that's just kind of funny to me that they included it here, but not on the actual figure where you would be able to see the back of the suit. And that's just a wacky thing. So yeah, that is Jacob Kowalski. Certainly not a perfect minifigure or anything, but he's pretty good for the variant they chose to include here. Good figure, good character, good stuff. The fourth and final minifigure we get in this set is Queenie Goldstein, and her only accessory is a black wand. So let's get that out of the way so we can take a look at the figure. I'll get into the face in a minute, but the hairpiece is the same one that comes in the minifigure series, of course. And I think this is just the perfect choice for Queenie. Just how she looks in the movie, portrayed by actress Alison Sudol. Probably butchered that pronunciation, but anyway, the hairpiece just looks good from all sides. Hollywood starlet hair in this color is the way to go. Now, you might think it odd that I chose this scared face for Queenie, but because normally something like this would be the alternate face, but as you'll see in a minute, this really has to be the main face because the other face is way too much of an alternate face, if that makes any sense. You'll get it in a minute. And this face is definitely, in my opinion, the only Queenie face that looks anything like the actress who portrayed her. I mean, just the eyebrows, the eyes, the mouth. This looks a lot like the actress, and that's good. And if we turn it around to the alternate side, you can see that, yeah, there's no way this could be the main face. She's super happy. Her eyes are closed. I mean, like, this is a good face. It's better than the one in the minifig series. The one in the minifig series is awful, and both faces in this set are better than that. But this isn't... This is just a bit of a weird face. Like, if they'd had the eyes open, this would have been great, and I really wish that they'd gone with a more neutral smile. Like, just open eyes, and then just, like, you know, a closed-mouth smile. That would have worked really well. And I mean, this works too, but again, the closed eyes just make it look really kind of not that usable. So I have to keep Queenie on her main face here. The scared face, that just, it looks normal to me. This looks good. Anyway, her torso is good, and she actually does get leg printing, the only figure in the set to have it. And it looks good. She has some printing for her shoes, which I'm not the biggest fan of. I mean, in general, I feel as though LEGO should only do designs for boots or shoes when they're, like, very necessary for the design, and they're not really here. Plus, no other figure in the set has shoes, so it's just kind of a random detail to include on her, but I kind of get it, I guess. Anyway, I really like the design of her sort of coat. With the pink design, you have these sort of metallic pink creases. Like, if I turn that, you can see that they shimmer, which is good. You have the buttons. You have the sort of scarf underneath. You have the skin tone, which looks so much better than the skin tone on the collectible minifigure that costs $4 for one minifig. Anyway, but yeah, turning Queenie around to the back. Just more of the same with the creases in the back of the coat. Yeah, good stuff. Okay, so then that is Queenie. Not a fantastic figure, but definitely better than the one in the minifigure series in every single aspect. And this figure is just part of a set that she's kind of a bonus in, since this set is such a good price-to-part ratio that if they didn't include all four figures, I don't think many people would have been able to complain. But they did, and they all look fantastic. Queenie no exception. I mean, again, none of them are amazing, but Newt is my favorite Newt. Tina's really good. Jacob's fantastic, and Queenie's better than the other version, at least. If not, perfect. She is my least favorite figure in the set, though, because she doesn't really have any sort of just neutral face. She just has two very expressive ones. Also, it's kind of odd to have the skin tone and the shoes on the front of the legs and then nothing on the sides. Yeah, I know that those are really nitpicks, but I mean, they're still complaints, even if they are nitpicky ones. Anyway, those were enough for the set's minifigures, so now let's move on to the thing that the franchise is named after. Let's take a look at those fantastic beasts. So, in addition to the two molded beasts that we got with Newt, the Niffler and Bowtruckle, the set includes 3 brick-built beasts. The first of them being this Occamy, which is a very well-done thing. I really like this Occamy design. I mean, it's not perfect, and it's not very stable. It's hard to stand up, but it looks good for what it's worth. Starting off, you can see that the head is I want to say it's an elves piece, like for a big elves bird or something, and it looks good. A lot of printing on there, a lot of colors. I like the tan for the beak, silver scales, purple, the eyes have several colors. This is a really well done print. At the bottom you have this separate piece for the mouth. Bit hard to get, but if you try hard enough, the mouth can open, which I think looks alright here for the Akme. I kind of prefer it at this sort of more neutral area, even something kind of smaller like this. But I think it works best for the Akme when it's closed, but it is nice to get the option. And then for the Akme, you can see that there are a lot of ball joints. You can pose this snake-like bird however you want, and you have all of these many teeth pieces here to create a very scaly look. And you have these cheese slopes to create some sort of spines. A lot of those scale designs, and it looks good. Tail at the back. The wings are the... I don't exactly know where these originated, but I know they're not new. I want to say they're from the Angry Birds Mighty Eagle. I think that's what these are. I think that's where these are from. Not positive, but I think that's where I've seen these before. And anyway, those can, of course, move back and forth if you want to have the Akme flying. And since it's ball-jointed, you can pose this however you want. You can have it just be straight out. You can have it be straight up. You can have it be doing wiggly. Although I think if you want to stand it up, you kind of have to do something like this. It is definitely a bit difficult to get it to stand up, but if you do it, then it's not going to do it here. So give me a second to stand this up, because until then I won't be able to justify closing off this segment. So yeah, that is my complaint here, because this is a really good-looking Akme, but it is very awkward to pose, and that is a bit annoying to me. It's just getting this back in shot, because I realized that it wasn't. Can we do this? We can't do this, can we? Okay, so no, then that, and curve this around the town. And there we go. So that is the Akme. It looks really good, and as long as you don't do anything with it, it displays well. But it is hard to pose, and I kind of wish that maybe they'd included some sort of base for it. You know, something you could attach it to just make it stand up better. Like, that is something I would recommend adding from your own collection. Like, maybe just, like, a couple plates to attach the Akme to. That's just my 2 cents. But anyway, so that's the Akme, which is a really good-looking beast, although I actually think it's the least good of the 3 brick-built ones, so we have a lot of good stuff to come. Again, I really love the printing for the head, and I really love the scales. But now let's move on to the other bird-like beast we get in the set, that being Frank the Thunderbird. And to start off, he has the same molded head from the Akme, but with new printing. Obviously now it's in tan, with the very nice white and metallic gold printing there. I really love the gold beak and the eyes. And you have these long bull horns coming out the back. Forgot to mention, but the Akme just had a couple of little horns sticking out the back, but these are much more impressive. But yeah, the head is on a ball joint, so that's good. It can move back and forth, up and down, rotate 360 degrees. The mouth can open, and I think the mouth open look works a lot better for the Thunderbird than the Akme, so you can sort of have it cawing, and I'm going to keep it like this. The wings are the Great Eagle wings from Lord of the Rings, and they can flap up and down. Very good design with the I want to say it's they're the white color with the gold paint, and they look pretty good. I mean, although actually I think both might be painted. I have no idea what the wings actually are, but I want to go with white, but maybe they have white paint on top of the white plastic, because you can see a couple points where it looks like there's white paint spillover, like here. Maybe that's just a place where the gold paint didn't cover for some reason. I'm not really sure how these were made, but they look good. There can be mistakes, but they're few and far between. Up top, you have a couple of stickers here for the sort of golden feather design, so that's good. Here, the Akme has a bunch of the Thunderbird. Have I been saying Akme this whole time? Because that would suck. Anyway, the Thunderbird has a bunch of sets of wings, and here you have a couple of the Chima wings here at the back. And then on these golden whip pieces, which I think are exclusive in gold, here you have a couple more wings, and this tail can move up and down, which is good. Then for the legs, you have ball joints here, so these can move back. They can't really move forward because we have this bit in the way, but that's fine. So really, you would probably only want to have it standing or with its legs back to fly. And the feet are on ball joints, and then you have 3 individually articulated toes. So you could get this sort of stepping, you could have it grab something. So yeah, if I just space the legs out a bit more, since I think it looks best if they are spaced out some. Yeah, that is Frank the Thunderbird. Another fantastic beast. Pun entirely intended. Though it's not even really a pun. I don't know what I'm doing. Anyway, cool stuff with the Thunderbird. Great design, great print, couple good stickers. I like the ingots. I love the wings. Now let's move on to the most complex to build, but least complex to look at beast, the Erumpent. So here we have the set's final beast, that being the Erumpent, which is of course a rhinoceros-based creature. And to start off with, at the head, you can see you have this thorn, which is a bit plain looking. I feel as though if they couldn't do this in trans orange, since it is kind of a rubbery piece, maybe they could have just put some stickers on the sides. I honestly wouldn't have even minded getting that. Anyway, then you have the eyes, which are cool printed 1x1 round tiles. You get 1 on each side. That's good. Up top, you have some sort of shape. Well, on the sides, you have this sort of shaping to sort of going for the front to create that blobby, amorphous sort of, I don't know how you describe it anyway, the look on top. Then you have this sort of trans-orange magma on the top of the head going up. That could have been a bit wider up top if maybe they felt like being brave and doing some jumpers in trans-orange. But that's fine that they didn't do that. The head's on a ball joint, so it can move back and forth, move down, tilt to the side. The legs, these two are on ball joints, but they can only move back and forth because they're inset. But the ball joints are a good choice since they're pretty sturdy with how they pose. All 4 of the feet are on ratcheted joints. These back 2 legs are just on Technic pins. They look a bit plain with the tiles on the sides. I will admit that that this guy does look pretty plain. No tail at the back, gray on the bottom. I mean, yeah, there's not much to this guy, but he's pretty good for what it's worth. And he's the last beast in the set, so now let's move on to the main build of the set, that being Newt's case. So here we have the main build of the set, Newt's case of magical creatures itself. And before we take a look at some of the finer details, I think it is just rather important to get a sense of scale for the model. So this is Newt next to the model. This is the Niffler next to the model. This is the Thestral from the Grindelwald set. And this is the Thunderbird from this set. So you can see that this suitcase is definitely not as large as you would probably expect. Definitely not large enough to fit in any of the large beasts in this set. Not really large enough to fit the Thestral inside of it, although, of course, when you open it up, you could probably do some play scenarios in there. And, well, you could fit a minifigure inside there and have it closed up, but you can see that it's just a bit taller than Newt. So yeah, so anyway, getting these guys out of the way so we can take a look at this. Starting with just the exterior, this is very well done. Well, this is how you're supposed to play with it, but I think maybe in a suitcase form it would make more sense to show it like this. And I think this looks very nice. You have the handle up top, which, even just with a couple clips, is surprisingly sturdy. Like, when I brought this down to my review station, I actually just carried it all the way here, which included going down a flight of stairs. And it did not, like, it didn't even want to come loose. That is very well done. You have these nice corners in tan, as well as these, which is supposed to sort of be like twine that he's using to tie it shut. Going back to the front here, you have a couple of little latches that are, they don't actually do anything, but they do look nice. And we do get a couple of stickers, one with a lock saying Muggle Worthy. So of course that means that currently if you were to open the suitcase in its current state and this were accurate, it would just be full of, like, socks and stuff. But obviously, this is, when you open this up, this won't be in the Muggle-worthy form, and LEGO just included that because that was a little memorable thing from the first scene of the movie. And then here you just have NS, obviously just Newt's initials. The sides are pretty simple, and, well, I don't really like the black stripe running through the whole thing. That's kind of like the one thing I don't like about the design. I don't even really mind the dark brown we see, though it is a bit odd how we have just this plate here, but then nothing over here. Would have been nice if maybe they could have just had another brown plate over here to make it symmetrical. But anyway, yeah, just not a fan of that black line. Then from the back, this looks pretty kind of awkward with the gold and some Technic, but I mean, I don't really mind it since you're never really going to look at it from the back. And yeah, and then up top, it looks pretty good. You have different layer levels in here. The middle is higher up, but I think that's fine. And then here just have some hinges, which are necessary for the main feature. And taking a look at that feature, it is, of course, that the case can open up. And this happens in a couple of steps. First, you just open up the top. This is a minor issue where sometimes these parts can come off if you're not careful. But anyway, so lift this up and fold it all the way back. Then fold open this section and bring up this ladder. And then fold this closed again. Then last, you can see you just have here you have a clip and a bar connected to that, and you can just fold this open. And now you have your suitcase playset. So, starting over here on the left side, you have this area that would be for beast care, I'm presuming. So you have this nice sink that you could use, I guess, for food preparation, or you could use it as a sort of tub, you know, maybe to give the Niffler a bath. And here you have this nice brown area, which I believe is supposed to represent the rocky terrain that we saw in the habitat for Frank. So you could kind of pose him up here, maybe, you know, sort of have his talons gripping the suitcase to make him stand better. So yeah, you have that, and you also have a couple of white flowers, I'm presuming. Alternatively, this could also be the bit of terrain where we saw the moon calves in the movie, but seeing as how we don't get any moon calves in this, and I'm more predisposed to think it's for Frank. And then over here we get a couple of accessories with a cleaver, a brush, and this chicken leg, which actually it doesn't go on that clip. It's actually supposed to go in this little area here for this feeding trough, I guess. But considering how they include a third clip, and it's really awkward to have it in the trough since there's nothing connecting it, and it's a kind of an awkwardly shaped piece to shove in there, so it falls out pretty easily. I prefer to just keep it clipped on. Anyway, then in the middle, we have what is probably my favorite section of the interior of the case, which is Newt's little hut. And we have a couple of stickers, one on each side, which are pretty nice, just to get sort of that nice wood texture for the planks. And on the sides, you have a little plant, as well as a lattice window, and that's really cool to get, since those lattice window pieces are not very common. In fact, if I'm correct, I might be wrong about this, but I know that at the very least, at the time this set released, those were only available in the $100 Great Hall, this set, and in the Diagon Alley promotional set. They might have appeared in a couple of sets since then, but if so, I can't think of any. And then you just have this 2x3 plate that I don't really get the purpose of, but I think it looks alright. I don't really mind it, more accurately. Then the roof is just 2 sections, and if you want to get to the interior, you just open it up. And obviously you'd have to open it up to get the ladder out. This is where the ladder is stored, normally. So if you want to play in here, you could just keep it open. In the back, you have some stairs going up to the ladder, which is nice. And, you know, obviously this is the ladder to the real world. Like, if you go into the case, you would climb up the ladder to go back into, you know, normal reality. So that's cool. And then in the hut, you have some simple details. Over here, you have a couple of potions, and the bottles, if you can see, I'll just pull one out. They have glitter in them. This is a lime green with a bright green stopper, and this one is just all in purple. So those are some pretty great little potions and remedies for the beasts, I'd presume, although maybe one of them could be the potion he gave to Jacob. I imagine that one of them it could really be either, would be the venom of the swooping evil. There it is. Don't know why I couldn't think of it. So I'd imagine that one is for that, and we also just get a gold bar for the Niffler. And over here we have a little table with a sticker for a picture of Alita Lestrange, which doesn't look very accurate, but, I mean, it's alright. It's clear what it's supposed to be, so that's good. So yeah, pretty cool design for Newt's little hut. And then moving over to this side, we have another very nicely detailed section. You have this little sort of area for the Niffler, I guess his little den. And you can't really put him in there, but you can put him next to it or on top, and you can just see that you have just a bunch of gold studs and a gold bar in there. Then you have all of these nice gray and sort of light brown stones, which I think kind of places this by a riverbed. That's what this makes me think of, at least. Then we have this very simple and short tree. Obviously, it's only so short so that you can fit it in here with the case all closed up. But this is supposed to represent the bowtruckle tree, so if you have this opened up, you could just put Pickett on one of these branches. Or up here. Unfortunately, there's no place where you can attach Pickett on the tree and he can actually stay, like, in the case. I think it would have been nice if maybe instead of having this cheese slope here, they would have had just a an open stud in brown. That would have been nice so you could attach him with the case closed, but that's just a really minor thing, and you could easily make that substitution yourself. Then over here we have this little bucket. Don't know why we have a bucket, but we have a bucket. Cool stuff. And then here we have this design for the Akame and its nest. Why did I say the Akame and its nest? The Akame, that's not the Akame. This is the Akame. We have the egg and its nest, which is pretty cool since the nest itself, this main piece is the neck attachment that was introduced for Kraven the Hunter in LEGO Superhero sets, although the use I think is the best it's had so far was for Bogart Snape in the Harry Potter Bricktober set. That just attaches on there, and then it's just held in place by this stud that the egg piece is attached to. I think it looks pretty good. It's a bit loose, but that's fine. I kind of wish the egg had been in silver. I know that if I'm correct, the Akame eggshells are white on the outside, but the inside is silver, and seeing as how that does kind of become important at a point in the movie, I think it would have been nice to have gotten the egg piece in silver. But that's really just another nitpick. And yeah, really, that's all that's wrong with this main model. And this set in general, there aren't really any major issues, just a couple little nitpicks, really. And one more thing, of course, is that if you don't want to have it fully open, you can just have it at different angles. Like, I was having it be sort of like this, where they're mostly open up, but you could have them straight out at like a 90-degree angle, and that just opens up a ton of space. You could have them even further back to just create a very large area. Heck, if you open up the roof, you could actually fold them all the way back. So then you just have... I mean, this is... I haven't actually tried this before. This actually doesn't look too bad. I kind of like the look of this, because it gives sort of this very expansive design. Probably the most expansive you're getting with any of these setups. At least in terms of... Because obviously that means that you would also have just all of this empty space to put stuff. So... Obviously, like, a big thing with this is that you're supposed to have this opened up, and then in the empty space, so just putting it back to, like, this design, obviously you have this stuff in here, but, like, here you would have, like, your Rumpant, your Akame would be in this area by the nest. Actually, there are studs here, so that'll remedy that problem with the Akame, how it doesn't stand up well. And then Frank would kind of be over here, so you can sort of get the feel for how you would use your beasts with this set if you wanted to play with it. So yeah, cool stuff. And you could also obviously fit the figures in here. And again, you're not fitting any of these beasts in with the set closed. But one more thing you can do with just the structure of the build is you could just snap it shut and use it as a closed playset, which I think is another very good look, because it sort of gives you this nice perspective, because everything is very closed in, sure, but like, it all actually goes together pretty well. Like, I don't know, I think that I really like the look of this very closed-in design. It's simple, and you don't really have a ton of room to go around in there, but it's cute. It's nice. And just closing up the roof, and then opening it because I forgot to put the ladder back in, and then closing it up again. Attaching this back on. That is the final build of this awesome Fantastic Beasts set, and before we move on to the final verdict, let's quickly take a look at the box, instruction manual, and extra pieces. This is one of currently only 2 of the new Wizarding World sets to be branded with the LEGO Fantastic Beasts logo in the top left. And in the top right, we have an image featuring Newt Scamander, Tina, and a Niffler. Kind of odd that you don't get Jacob as the 3rd character, but I mean, I guess they wanted to incorporate that whole, beasts things. That makes sense. Anyway, on the left, you have all the information for the set. In the bottom left, you get the 4 figures included. From left to right, Queenie, Tina, Newt, and Jacob. And in the bottom right, you have an image of the set closed up with a Newt minifigure for scale, as well as the Wizarding World logo. The main image of the set, I think, does a very good job at showing off everything included when the set is open. All 4 figures are relatively prominent, as is the Niffler. Nothing is really hidden away. All 3 beasts are large and have a nice glow around them to make them pop. And then the build itself is, like, the case itself is kind of in the background, to be honest, but, I mean, then again, kind of in terms of everything included in the set, I would say that it is probably the least interesting, so I think that works. Plus, it's large enough to where, like, you're not gonna just not notice it's there. So, good design on the front. On the top, you just have the 4 minifigures with some poses, and Jacob sporting the actual size reference. On this side, there's just a LEGO Life ad. On this side, there's just the same image from the front of the box. On the bottom, there's just boring legal info that isn't really anything to write home about. I mean, it's legal info. Why would you care? And something interesting, if you look to the right of the box, is that this does not have the normal sort of just cut-the-tape design that you would see on a normal LEGO $50 set. This has the tabs that usually are on, like, $20 sets. Really weird choice to get those on such a large set. But, I mean, the box here is much better designed and uses better cardboard than the small sets this is normally for. So the tabs actually work pretty well. So that's good. The main image on the back completely omits the suitcase and just has the figures with the beasts, and I guess that's alright, as you also get some of the accessories from inside the hut displayed, as well as one of the little plants on the side with Pickett in it, which, I mean, I guess you could do that if you wanted to display Pickett, but I personally don't like the look of that. And then on top, you just have it showing how how to open up the case. On the right and bottom, you have images, so you have in the top right, Jacob, I guess, feeding the alchemy. Down is Newt with the Thunderbird. Then Newt in the hut, I guess, just reclining on the stairs. Niffler with a couple pieces of gold. Our heroes cleaning up, I guess, just... Well, Tina has a potion, and I guess they're in the sink area for some reason. And then Newt with Pickett at the tree. So yeah, cool box. The set includes 2 instruction manuals. The first covers the first 2 bags, which is all of the beasts. It is 44 pages of building. And then at the back, we get the full parts list for the set, as well as the win guide. Manual 2 comprises the suitcase, and it is 80 pages, or well, I guess 79, really. Then you get an ad for LEGO Life, an ad for both Fantastic Beasts set, as well as the 2 wide-release Brickhead sets, a checklist for the minifigures from the 5 wide-release sets, or well, at least originally. The Hogwarts Express ended up being wide-release, but that wasn't originally planned, if I'm correct. Anyway, and then at the back we have an ad for the 3 wide-release Harry Potter sets, minus the Hogwarts Express, because again, that was not originally going to be wide-release. I'm pretty sure it was going to be the Toys R Us exclusive, but obviously Toys R Us kind of died, so they had to make it a wide-release set. That's just my theory, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Anyway, yeah, manuals. Now let's just take a look at those extra pieces and then wrap up this review. The set comes with a good supply of extra pieces for a $50 set. You get quite a few here and quite a few good ones. To point out some highlights, you get this new grass piece, or well, newer. It's not super new, but, you know, the stock. You have a stud in gold with a hole in the center. That's good to get. And you also have one of those in yellow. You get the bow truckle piece. So that's good. Get a spare of that. You get spares of the wands in black, orange, and brown. So you get a spare of each, of course, as well as the differently colored sprues for each, which of course contain 2, which is why you get an extra of each. Cool stuff. For other stuff, you get these 1x1 round tiles in some nice different colors that aren't too common. You get one of these new flower pieces in white. You get the stamp piece in white. You get one of these tiles printed with an Erumpent eye, which is an exclusive print, at least at the moment, so that's really cool to get. Get the corner tile in gray, and then you just get a bunch of differently colored cheese slopes and plates and studs, a Technic pin, a couple thorns. You get the nice this style of horn, so that's good. So yeah, cool stuff with the extras. So I guess now is the time that we wrap up this review. So overall, would I recommend LEGO Fantastic Beasts set number 75952, Newt's Case of Magical Creatures, for $50 US? The answer is yes, because first off, I think it's clear that this is easily the best of all the LEGO Fantastic Beasts set they've released so far. It is very much better than the 2 sets we've gotten for LEGO Dimensions back in 2016, and it is also quite a bit better than Grindelwald's Escape, which already was a set that turned out to be a lot better than I had been expecting. But this set is still better to me. And you just get so much stuff here. Like, this is an amazing value for $50. Like, the playset itself, like, I could see LEGO selling the case for $40. I could see them selling the Alchemy, could be a $10 set by itself. Frank, then the Erumpent, I could see going for 15, maybe even 20 by themselves. Frank 15, Erumpent more like 20. Hopefully 15 for him. Like, I probably wouldn't pay 20 for the Erumpent, but they probably could charge it, is what I'm saying. So yeah, and on top of that, you get 4 figures. Like, remember, when I heard LEGO was doing this set, I thought they were going to do, like, maybe 1 large beast, but then mostly the smallish ones, like Niffler and a Bowtruckle. And I figured that they were probably only going to give us, like, 2, maybe 3 figures. Because, I mean, the set was going to be 694 pieces for $50. And that is just a phenomenal deal. Obviously, and in the end, LEGO gave us everything we could want. We get a very nice suitcase, we get 3 great colorful, well, 2 colorful beasts, all 3 are great though, 4 very well done minifigures. What's not to like? And I would say this is one of the best Wizarding World sets. I would probably say that, well, I'd put this probably number 3, under the Hogwarts Express and the Whomping Willow, but above the Great Hall. And remember, this is just my opinion, so if you love the Great Hall, then that's not me dissing it, and if you don't like the 2 sets I mentioned, or this set, that's just my opinion. I would say this is probably the 3rd best set we got in 2018, of the 3 main retail sets, I mean. I'm not including stuff like the direct-to-consumer Hogwarts in that, but in terms of the retail sets, this is one of the best. Yeah, it's a great parts pack, a lot of great figures. I'm in love with some, like, the figures, just going through them. Newt has such a great face print. Tina's hairpiece is wonderful. Queenie has a really fantastic torso design and a really expressive scared face that I adore. Jacob is just all around great. The Niffler is wonderful. The Beasts, the shiny, good, love it. Case, good. I don't know what else to say. The set's fantastic, and I can't give it any more praise than that. I mean, I probably could, but I didn't have time for that. This review's already long enough. So thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope to see you all in the next one, whenever that is. Goodbye, everyone.